I'm Melissa Mancini with Canadian HR Reporter TV. I recently spoke to Paul Demers from the Occupational Cancer Research Centre in Toronto. We talked about shift work as a possible carcinogen. What's the link between shift work and cancer?
I guess I'll start with the fact that we have a lot of animal studies that have shown an increased risk of mammary tumors in rodents, which is kind of a strange thing to think about. But there are over 40 studies that have found that if you change the light patterns or if you try to disrupt the circadian rhythms, those kind of natural rhythms that we have with light and dark, if you expose rodents to light at night, things like that, or treat them like you would a flight attendant who's changing time zones all the time, that increases the risk of those kind of tumors in animals. And researchers believe that some of those same mechanisms could operate in humans, and that's why we put a lot of weight on these studies of breast cancer that have found an increased risk with women who work, particularly for 20 or 30 years, working night shifts or rotating shifts. So that's the kind of connection between our animal studies and our human studies. But it is still an area of research. It is just a suspected thing. But if it comes that the evidence gets stronger, the impact could be very big. It would have to make us rethink how much we operate on our 24-hour society.
What measures could be used to minimize these risks?
There certainly are better ways to organize shift work. I mean, if you're going to rotate, whether you go from days to afternoons to nights is different than if you go from nights to afternoons to days. And we're looking at the variable impact of those. I say we in the broader sense, the research community. There's an interest in trying to change lighting levels at night and perhaps lowering lighting levels or just using red light in some areas because red light doesn't seem to disrupt the hormones that go up at night in the same way that white light would.
What are some other health effects associated with shift work?
There's been a lot of interest in shift work and cancer in recent years, but in fact, for many years we've known that shift work increases when you're working at night and having disrupted sleep patterns, increases the risk of injury in the workplace. And some new studies have come out that say, anywhere from let's say 5 to maybe up to 15% of injuries may be due to this kind of fatigue and not getting enough sleep. So that's a definite problem linked with shift work. We know that there are other issues regarding an increased risk of heart disease and stomach problems and disruption of people's social lives that lead to other problems in their lives. There's a whole host of things that are associated with shift work that really I think need to be our focus if we're looking at it. It really shouldn't be limited to just cancer. We should be trying to think about all of people's lives and how they're impacted by working at night. And this doesn't impact everybody. I mean, some people are very adaptable. Some people, for instance, might actually like it. But let's say you have children and a family life, that could be a serious challenge to you, for instance. So I think that when we think about the broader impacts of shift work, we have to start thinking about a whole host of other problems beyond just cancer. And it may be that cancer isn't the thing we focus in on in the end. Instead, we may be focusing in on people's quality of life and productivity in general.